All right, so here they are, two members of that 2002 Boston Celtics team, two starters on that team. Boston Celtics first-round draft selection during 1995, and Providence College's own Eric Williams, and former NBA All-Star and New York legend himself, one of the many from that area, Kenny Anderson. Guys, welcome to Celtics Beat.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for having me.
Hey,
appreciate it.
Yankees fans on the show may not go over well with some of the audience, but safe to say the contributions you made to the Boston Celtics organization throughout the years, particularly that 2002 season, which we're going to discuss at length here with you guys, more than made up for any allegiances to any particular baseball team in the minds of certain fans. Ended that 2001 season, Rick Pitino quits, I think, around January 6th, somewhere around there. It was a Friday night in Miami, we all remember, or Saturday night in Miami, we all remember it. You guys finished 27-27, very under the radar because, quite frankly, it had been a few bad years now. Mm-hmm. But talk about the momentum that you guys had built up after Pitino quit, and you finished that season strong and nearly made the season as an 8th seed.
I mean, like, I was pretty much during the beginning of that year, I was like the role player. I came off the bench. I try to, fill in any little weak spots we needed at the time. And, Rick Pitino had his, like I used to say, he had his guys, certain guys that, he played. That was his philosophy at the time. And, I was one of, like, Jim O'Brien's guys, like in practice, Kenny can attest to it. At the beginning of the year, it was almost like it was two separate teams. Jim O'Brien had the second unit, and Rick Pitino coached the first unit, with Rick Pitino and, Antoine Walker and Paul Perez, et cetera. And, we used to just compete in practice. I think we got better because in practice, we used to compete with the first unit, and, Jim O'Brien made it a game as, listen, this is the time you're going to have to prove in practice where you can get some playing time. And that's the way I look at it. So our practices was getting so competitive, month after month after month. By the time, we got to the point in Miami and Rick Pitino, bowed out, Jim O'Brien just kind of like inserted two guys into the starting lineup, which was myself and Tony Batiste, who was more defensive-minded guys. And then, after that, it just clicked because, the pressure was off. I think guys in the first unit, it was a lot of pressure. And Rick Pitino was getting, frustrated because he wasn't winning fast enough. And, once he stepped down, I think the pressure got off guys, and guys were like, listen, I remember Kenny, we got like a half a season left. Let's try to make a stand right now. And I think after that, we practiced hard. We had fun together. We hung out more. And, that set the tone. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, just to reiterate what, he was talking about and saying, I think when Jim O'Brien took over, he went more into a defensive mode. And he knew he had to insert two of the guys, Tony Batiste and Eric Williams, into in that lineup where we wasn't coming down launching three-pointers. And we still was launching three-pointers, but our desperation was like, our what we hung our hat on was defense. And I can remember, and when they talk about defense nowadays in this era, I know we finished 2001, the third best defensive team in the league. And you could look at our team, guys wasn't known to play defense, Antoine Walker, Paul Pierce, even myself, But we wind up finishing third because we would stop people. We would make the game ugly. Yeah. And, then that was our calling call. We let's make this ugly. And then we got enough guys, myself, Paul, and Antoine, that can make big shots down the stretch if it's close. And if you look back, that's how we won. We won all close games. It was coming to us. All close games, and our confidence built because all the games we was executing. We knew who the ball was going to. We knew, our defensive rotation. And I give a lot of credit to Eric Williams, for his defense. He was like our anchor. He was like the guy that communicated. The guy, when things break down, he was able to get on some people because we respected him because that was his forte, was defense. So. And that's what happened, and we just got close. That end of that season, when we were 27-27, guys were just like, hey, let's just have fun, and also while we having fun, let's win some games, and let's forget about. I think somewhat like we not out, but we out. So let's forget about this season, but let's finish off on a good note. So when we come back next year, we'll be like really ready to play in training camp.
Yeah, Kenny, I want to definitely follow up with you on that. You mentioned Eric Williams, and I remember speaking to Leo Papil for my book, how he had mentioned how Eric Williams was just imperative in terms of being a big glue guy for that team. We know of all the yeoman's work that Eric did do. Could you talk about some of the other guys on the team, maybe like a Walter McCarty, a Tony Battie, who really did some of that, just that hardcore work?
Just to this day, Tony Battie is a clone of Eric Williams. They was tight, and I guess Eric rubbed off on Tony Battie. He was communicating. He was like, I don't care about touching the ball. I want rebounds. I want block shots. The guys would beat me, and Tony Battie, I'm coming, man. I got you. Next time, I lost that rotation, but next time I'm getting it. So Tony Battie is so he fit in. He was a role player that fit in, and Walter McCarty to this day. And I think Eric Williams would tell you, he's probably the most positive, upbeat guy I probably ever played with, like in my life. Like, as far as not playing, don't know when he's going to play, but he's always coming to work and practice, like real joyful, smile on his face, energy, positive, upbeat player that I ever played with in my life.
Yeah, 100%.
That I ever played with in my life. He stayed one way. That was always energy. He was happy coming to work when things wasn't going right. He was always upbeat. And it kind of rubbed off. I know it did on me because I watched him, and I was like, man, we losing, this is going wrong. And this guy is still working. This guy is still having fun with it. So him and Tony Battie was one of those glue. They were glue guys.
Yeah.
They were glue guys.
Yeah, them guys, man. I love them guys. I mean, Tony Battie, the only thing Tony Battie wanted to do was protect the rim. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Block shots, protect the rim. That was his mind coming into this thing in practice and into the games, And, guys, Battie and, of course, Walter McCarty had, he had this energy, like Hay said. We down 5 games, we lost 5 games in a row. He in the practice, like, let's go. Let's get it. And it was like, he ain't even getting, minutes like he's supposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was easy for us to come around that personality, and everybody brought something to the team, we run the defense down. KA and them had that leadership, and, they was great ball players and scorers. So, for us, it was like looking up to them and was like, let's just buckle down on the D. And we was those energy guys. Walter McCarty, Tony Battie, myself, we were those, Eric Strickland at the time, we were those energy guys coming in there. Yeah. Like, fuck it, let's just put the energy out. Our top 3 going to do what they do every night. It was like, listen, we can just bring a little bit to the game. And it turned out, collectively, we brought a lot. And it just balanced the team. And we got on the road, man. It was fun again. Fans, everybody. It was just fun. Tommy Heinsohn, everybody came back, man. And it felt great.
I want to talk about that training camp, obviously. So you guys finished that 2001 season strong, and I'll bounce this one to you here, Eric. Did you feel like going into that 2001-2002 team, the team that actually ended up going to the Eastern Conference Finals, not many people, the quote-unquote experts, picked you guys to do much. But how did the team feel collectively about how they were going to finish that season?
We kind of had a formula. Word up. I mean, our identity. We knew who we were. We knew, we didn't have the, we didn't have a whole bunch of, star quality players collectively on the 5. But our top 3 was good enough, and we had some good role players who didn't really care what the, media and nobody was saying. We just wanted to be grimy and, bring all that dirty work to the old Celtics. We wanted that. And we knew we had guys like we said to the third, fourth quarter. We knew we had guys that can make shots, and don't get me wrong, we was able to make shots ourselves. But so yeah, I mean that's pretty much where we was at the time. And when we went to training camp, we knew. I mean, Dick Harder was one of the top defensive guys in the history of the league. I mean, he was on all championship teams. We had the right stuff. We just had to, we had to buy him to the system. And I looked at Dick Harder's defense and was like, man, he played in so many championship teams. Next, all these championship teams, it was Dick Harder's defense that was implemented in it. And I knew we can, try to understand that, us collectively, understand that. And, like I used to tell Kay, man, just give me 12 seconds of hard D. Y'all motherfuckers can shoot the ball wherever y'all want. I don't give a fuck about that. You give me 12 seconds of hard D. At the end of the day, we're going to be in position to try to win games. And that's what happened. So day one, guys ran harder. We practiced harder. We practiced hard as hell, but we battled against each other. I took an initiative to guard Paul Pierce every fucking day, one-on-one, every day, because I knew he was a great player. He was going to help me out because my job was to take on the $100 million players, and I relished in that. It was like feed me, K.A. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to worry about D. I got your back, you know? So we had guys ready to take on those positions, which free up our scores and our stars. And, you know, we clicked, man. And that's when we got on the road. We knew what we had to do on defense. We knew how many points we wanted to allow. You remember, K.A.? We used to be like, man, fuck that, yo. We can't get them fucking 20. Oh, they got 25. We got to get 19 this time. You know what I'm saying?
We knew. Yeah, that was guys that, like he said, he would come in the huddle sometimes and just say a number. You know, the number was too high. You know what I mean? Like, you can't give them 25 a quarter. We got to keep them from, 15 to 19 and something like that. And we was aware. And guys, you know, and the NBA, it's all about team defense. You're not really stopping no one-on-one. Guys are too good, too great. You have to have that rotation. 5 guys got to be on the string. And we was like that most of the night. And then some nights, it was funny. Some nights when we didn't even put the ball in the basket, you know, we defend, and the game was ugly. The game was ugly, and we win 79 to, 75. We're like by 2 points, and guys be like, damn, how they winning? It's because we're just playing defense. We bought, like he said, bottom line, the thing about the NBA, we bought into the system. We just bought into the system, offensively and defensively.
It's almost like when you guys seem to play, you know, when those shots weren't falling, you seem to even turn up the defensive intensity even more. A game that I sort of harken back to is that infamous playoff game against Detroit, 66-64, Game 3 in Boston. That was sort of the case there, huh?
That was one of the funnest games we played, man. You know, if you looked at our bench and you looked at us and you looked at our faces, this was the game we wanted to play. Detroit wasn't used to playing that game. Yeah, you know, they had the history of being like rough and bad boy and all that stuff. Yeah. But really, we brought that badness to it, you know. And once they was in the Garden, forget it. You wasn't kind of like you wasn't putting big numbers up in the Garden.
That was like it just was an ugly game, and we knew it. But who cares? We just tried to get a W. That's how we were.
That's how we were.
Let's talk about Paul Pierce. If you guys remember, the season before the East Conference Final season, March 2001, he had that huge, just complete "I'm here" type, games. He had all those 40-point games. He had the big game against the Lakers. Shaq called him the truth. And I remember at the time we were all looking for the next Michael Jordan, and the debate amongst playground NBA fans was like, who is better, Kobe or T-Mac, or Iverson or Kobe, or T-Mac and Vince Carter. I remember a column Peter Vesey wrote. The one guy who said he closest resembled Jordan at the time was Pierce. Can any of you sort of tell me where you guys truly felt Pierce was at the time amongst his peers?
I mean, if I take this one, K, hey, listen, we knew he had a great talent, and you got to understand something. Only way you can individual in the NBA can be great if you got to have great teammates around him. Yeah. We allow him to go ahead and just go. AKA, what you tell him is like, listen, Paul, you are fucking guys. We need you to score. So if he already going in the mind, already knowing this shit, now he could be free to go out there and try to punish dudes. Because let me tell you something, we made it hard as hell on him in practice. At least I know I did. I made sure I guard that motherfucker every day because I know he was a great talent, man. And when he got out and he performed like it was nobody guarding him because we made it so hard on him in practice, man. You know what I'm saying? And he had good guys who was going to get him the ball.
Yeah. I think, first of all, he's a fundamental player regardless. He got great footwork. He knows how to come off screen. So, therefore, Eric Williams' part, we have myself being a point guard. He doesn't have to bring the ball up. He was getting the ball on his sweet spots a lot of times.
Exactly.
And Antoine Walker being attracted 2-3 players sometimes. So Paul was in a great situation. I think to come out, I remember him as a rookie, and I saw some greatness in him. When we drafted him, he came in with a chip on his shoulder because he went 10, and he thought he should have went lower. And, he just was a great shooter. That sets up everything. And then he's like 6'6", 6'8", very strong up top. So it's really, nothing you could do with him when he's hitting his shot. And that's why he's still playing this long, because he's footwork, And he's deliberate. You know what I mean? He takes his time. He just knows how to play. He got that old man game. He had it. He had it when he was young.
Yeah.
Fundamentals and all that. But I think it was a great organization for him to grow in, the Celtics. And they built around him. Even when they got rid of, myself, Antoine, Eric, they still brought pieces and they kept him. And they had to because, he was the truth. And they built around him. And it was awesome.
I want to now definitely get on to the season. You guys got off to a good start, but then you lost 4 games in a row there towards the end of November. I think even early December, you guys fell back under 500. And from me, as a fan perspective, it was like, oh, boy, here we go again. Another crappy season, same old Celtics. But then one game, because we're talking about Pierce, obviously. We know what game we're talking about. One game down in Miami, the scene of the crime a year ago. Pierce at the top of the key, gets the ball, goes around the defense, gets a shot up over Alonzo Mourning, scores at the buzzer. You guys celebrated like you won that championship right there.
Yeah, man, it felt great. You know what I'm saying? We needed that win, and that was one of those teams at the time where, we're like, we need to go in here and just, we didn't need a good performance. I think we wasn't playing good. It was almost like, that little slump you have sometimes after the first 25 games. And it's like, who are we? Who we need to be? All the teams were settling in. Teams that saw us play one time around. So everybody knew what we wanted to do. And, it was kind of tough trying to figure out those type of schemes. But, we got that win, and it was almost like it just took the pressure off, man, because we knew we was good enough to win games, and we pride ourselves on not going on these 3-game slides, and here it was on a 5-game slide, So, that was my perspective. Go ahead, Kay.
Yeah, I just think, like Eric said, just to, when you go 3-4 games losing streak, you wonder, and everybody, the year before and everything, here they go again. But we have some type of fight in us, and sometimes in the NBA, it takes one game to turn the season around. It just takes, not the season around, but to get that momentum again. And I think by beating Miami, coming down there, beating them there, kind of, took us to another level as far as with our momentum and our closeness, because we was playing games and losing games close, but then also we was winning games a lot closer. So it builds confidence, and that's what I think the Miami that game did.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, just went on a whole nother level as far as confidence as well, and and when you got a player like that putting the ball in the rack, early in the games, then your defense be much more potent, and you're gonna want to, get down there, and it gives your defense a little bit more energy. I mean, KA started slapping the floor on defense. Antoine, even Paul, as we look at him today, that's the foundations of our team back in the day. Paul became a stopper at one time in his career. So, when he won those championship teams. So, all those principles still stay with us. And, I will never forget, Dick Harder and what he did for me as far as a player understanding the game.
My dude, man.
You know what I mean?
That was my dude.
Help me understand the game and understand the concept of defense and, 24-second clock and just, understanding these little nuances that I was, I was able to be the vocal for the rest of my guys. And then once we got tight in that connective unit, it was, we was unbreakable, man. So Dick Harder for me, out of all the goodwill and the players I played with and those things, he really gave me that understanding and concept. And I'll always, for me, so. That was the real turning point for us and the whole team, because although Dick was the quietest of us all, it was his concepts, his defense, and his way of life that we took on. We took on his personality, you know what I mean? And it just went from there.
So that defense was just sort of the identity of the team, and obviously you all remember sort of Bob Ryan kind of calling you guys, what was it, the gun and chuck, but there was defense, and then it was also, I thought, winning close games. Kenny, you were sort of alluding to it early on, how that Miami win was sort of very important in that regards, and you guys got on a roll there. You remember you beat Phoenix with in overtime after Walker tipped in a Pierce shot at the buzzer. Once you guys started winning a few close games, after all the close games you lost under Pitino, what did it do for the confidence of that team?
Well, that's what it's about. Like we all done it in high school, we've done it in college. That's about team. Every time you win a bunch of close games, it brings the players and everybody together. And it just overwhelmed our confidence. We had overwhelming confidence in each other and together. We was just like, hey, it doesn't matter what situation we was in, never waver, never waver. Let's keep playing the way we playing. Let's play hard. And that's what we did. It showed in the playoffs against the Nets. We down 20-something points in the fourth quarter. You know, and nobody wavered. And we played harder. Most teams be like, it's over. Let's just pack this one in and go to the next one. But we played hard, man, every night, night in, night out, and it was becoming a close game. And that's one of that team, my 1990 college team, I thought was the closest team I ever played on. That Celtic team, 201, was the closest team on the court, and most of the time off the court. We were so close. Yeah. That was the closest team I ever been on. And that's why me and Eric Williams, me and Eric Williams have stayed close, together, out of retirement. And that's one of the reasons, I believe, because we experienced, that Celtic team.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because, like to go into it a little further, what K.A. was saying, right after that, we went on that long road trip. You know what I'm saying? And we went on that long road trip, and it was just us. We had just, beat Miami. I was on that first leg of it, and then we went out west on that, that we normally go out west on that long road trip. And we went out there with, like, serious energy, serious connectedness. I mean, we did everything together when we was out there. And it showed on the floor because, we started winning, started beating teams in the West. Just beating the game down.
I know it was the game I thought about out west, and they show it. I was on YouTube. Somebody sent it to me years ago. The Laker game. We beat them on the buzzer. I think we beat them on the buzzer. Kobe and them was mad. Shaq, they was mad. We beat them. I think Shaq played that game. I don't think he played in Boston.
Yeah. He didn't play in Boston, no.
Yeah, they had their whole team, and they thought they was going to beat us. We beat them. It was just amazing. That's the game I remember.
Kenny, you had some huge baskets in that game. Two at the end there. You hit the two big hoops.
I wasn't playing well. I was coasting, and that's what I did with this team a lot. I didn't have to look for my scoring. But then Antoine and Paul would go into drought sometimes, and then I would hit 2-3 buckets, get a steal or something. That's how I played. I didn't shoot much. I think I averaged 12 and 7. That's like one of my best leadership roles I ever played in the league, my 14 years. I think I averaged 12 and 7 on that team. But it was when I struck. When I struck, it was for something. It was for a win. You know what I mean? But after the game, I remember because I remember after the game, Kobe was running to the ref. They was mad, and we ran off the court. It was crazy.
We ran off because Antoine hit that bank shot from the three. Yeah, banked and then inbound pass to him, and we ran off the floor, and the team was elated, and we went on. I think we beat Utah 2. We went in there and beat their ass. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it felt. That was the feeling. And once we got back to Boston.
I don't think was that the game after All-Star break when we played in Utah and we won.
Oh, if you're talking about the Lakers game, and I really wanted to get into this because you're talking about how close that team was. That Lakers game was, I want to say, the Tuesday before the trade deadline. And we all remember the discussions leading up to the deadline. You were in virtually every single rumor, largely because of your contract. You were making $9 million that was coming off the books. Big rumor going around was you and then maybe, say, Joe Johnson or Kedrick Brown going to Denver for Nick Van Exel and Raef LaFrentz. What was going on for you?
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
What was going on for your
That was the trade room. Me personally, I didn't. In a way, I was like, man, I knew I was the target because I think $9 million. I was on my free agent year, and this is where business comes in and it fucks you because they fucked me in the summer. They said we're gonna keep him, and then we're gonna trade him in the summer. So and I was that was my free. I had one more year, and I had played so well, and I was so comfortable with my players, my team. If I would have had that next year with the Celtics, I would have had to get paid, a nice grip of money. But they screwed me and traded me to Seattle, not during the season. They waited in the summer, traded me for Ben Baker, who's a good friend of mine, but he wasn't the same Ben Baker, you know, of when he was younger and all that. So I didn't get it. That was the trade that took the passion out of me. That's when I was done. I really was done mentally with the NBA and with my feelings because I had done everything right. I was close to my team. I missed playing with Eric. I missed playing with that whole team. I was like, wow, man. Then they had me up in millions miles away in Seattle, you know, backing up Gary Payton. And it kind of took the air out of me. I'm like, damn, I was one of the top point guards last year. Now I'm sitting behind Gary Payton, you know, just released show. You know, that was his team. He's been there 20 years. So I'm like, shit, how could you trade me somewhere that I'm going to play? You know what I mean? So it's just the nature of the business. The bitterness is out, you know, out of me. But the first 5, 6, 7 years, I was kind of pissed off with the Celtics. And I always wanted to know, like, who did it? Who pulled the trigger on that one? Because it was the summertime. They could have got me something better.
Yeah, that was obviously an infamous trade.
Yeah, that was a tough one, you know what I mean, for us, too, because we really didn't understand that. Because we definitely didn't, you know, we had a point guard. We had a guy.
Then I was, before that, they went into the playoffs again. I was out of the playoffs, and I watched that when I was in Seattle. I'm like, they didn't even have a point guard. Tony Bell was trying to play the point guard. That's the problem. I was like, man, I should be there. So I was like, oh man, it just was hurt. This was hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ben Baker was a great guy, you know what I mean, a good individual. But at the time, we didn't really need that position. I mean, we had Mark Blunt rising up. We had Tony Petit, you know, and Antoine was 6'10". You know what I mean? What helped us and what helped our team at that time was we had a 6'10" guy who can pass very well, and we had a point guard who can pass the best. And that's what helped our team on the whole. You know, we didn't necessarily need, you know, isolated, you know, 4 guys to score. We had Tony Petit and Walter McCarty who could spread the court out and play defense. So we was unique in our way. I think, you know, they took for granted who Kenny was in his position in our team and who he was in our team. You know, and it wasn't the right play because it was almost like they took on more money getting Ben Baker. They took on more money getting Ben Baker. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, you know, giving K8 for that last year and letting him play out with us and then having him a chance to go wherever he wanted to go, you know? So I can understand what took the bitterness out of him, you know, when it happened because it kind of like happened for all of us after that. Because once Kenny left,
I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging. You know, I'm not. You know, I'm blowing my own horn, but maybe I am. It hurt everybody on that team when they let me go because I was the point guard. I got the guys, the balls, the right situation. I did what I had to do. I even played defense that year, a couple of years. You know what I'm saying? Because of Dick Harder and Jim O'Brien being on me. I think I was top 10 in steals. It's just crazy. You know what I mean? So you know, it's over with now. It's over with now. But I just always wanted. It hurt my career as far as financially. I know that because you couldn't tell me if I wouldn't play with that Boston team another year that my numbers and everything would have been. It definitely would have been the same. But then I definitely would have been, you know, who knows how our team goes? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, you know.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to take a lot of the air out of the balloon for the Celtics going into that next season, too, because, like you said, Kenny, I mean, you could just sort of, I mean, they still had Pierce and Antoine, but if Pierce, if you recall, had that terrible summer on that U.S. national team, we all sort of remember what happened there. And the Celtics were definitely a good team that following year, but that camaraderie, at least from me as a fan from afar, it didn't really seem to be there that season like it was during.
Eric knows, man, and my high school coach, my college coach, everybody, they say that Kenny, that's your best leadership job I ever seen you do. Yeah, and Eric knows that. My ego was left at the door. I just felt I was the leader of the team. You know what I mean? And when you get rid of somebody like that and they didn't value me, and I understand it because it's a gamble. It's a gamble. Like maybe we could do it this way, maybe we could do it that way. And they lost the gamble, you know?
Yeah. They lost they lost our identity of who we were, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, Ben was a great guy, you know what I'm saying? But his personality didn't fit our team. You know what I mean? He was more quiet, into itself, and then we come to find out what happened to him afterwards. No one knew about the problem that he had, but that goes to show that sometimes you can't outsmart what's already there. I mean, we had a functioning foundation, already there. We had the three-headed monster. We had a great point guard who could score whenever he wanted, bring the ball up, get us in position. We had a great guy who could come off screens. Like, they like to compare Paul Pierce to Michael Jordan at the time, but he was more like Larry Bird, man. He was coming off screens, knowing when to shoot. Wow! And he had a guy who could get him there. And we had a great passing power forward, Antoine Walker. Like, I knew with Kenny Anderson, after every timeout, I knew I was getting the ball. That was my play. Yeah. Every timeout, I got the ball. So he knew how to get everybody involved. You know what I mean? It was like we had our own game going in already. I knew where my shots was going to come at. If I was going to play off them guys because they was better. But at the end of the day, I knew every timeout, which is 6 timeouts on each side, that's 6 attempts for me. We knew how to play with each other and keep everybody involved. Yeah. And they broke that up.
And then, like he said, I would know. Eric Williams, Tony Batiste, those guys ain't touching the ball enough. In 1-2 plays, and I still get gobbled up on. Because at the time, Paul might be open. Antoine might be open. But I'm giving the ball to eat his time. He's got to get touches sometime because he's been busting his ass defensively. You know what I mean? So this is where I came in at, and the guys, we used to bark at each other, but it was understandable, because they wanted to win and they wanted to shoot. But then I had to be that point guard to say, hey, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's what it was. And we didn't have that no more.
I definitely want to get because we were talking about the trades, obviously the infamous trade of Kenny Anderson at the end of the season. But Kenny, as we remember, he survived that deadline. Raef LaFrentz ended up going to Dallas with Nick Van Exel. I guess sort of the compensation was the Celtics ended up sending Joe Johnson to Phoenix for Rodney Rogers and Tony Delk. Obviously, Johnson got off to that great start.
Yeah, that was. I remember that. And when I see Joe, and I took that was one that had to be done. Because he was playing behind Paul Pierce. That's a logic trade. You know what I mean? That opened Joe Johnson up and made his career blossom. He could not. He could not perform with us in Boston with Paul Pierce. That was the ideal trade from the gate, and it brought us back Tony Delk, who's a combo, a tweener, who's a great shooter, comes off screen, that can play the point guard in spurts, but he can't play the whole game as a point guard.
No, we can't win the championship.
Rodney Rogers, Rodney Rogers, great. Stretch 3. He could play the 3. He could sometimes play the 4. Could put the ball on the floor. Our team, with all of us, our team was a great fit. It was like, wow. Yeah. We had everything.
If you even recall, Rogers was Jim O'Brien was playing Rogers at the 5 in that infamous series against Philadelphia, and that really helped you guys a lot. That stretched the defense against Dikembe Mutombo. When you guys got Philly, that wasn't really the best matchup, if you recall. They took 3 or 4 from you that season. They had something like, they went like 14 to 16 against you, something crazy. How'd you feel about going into that series?
Like he said, that wasn't a good matchup, and I was like, wow, we got Allen Iverson. I think he was the top scorer that year. But we knew. I knew, and everybody, Dick Hardy said, Joe, just make it tough for him. He's going to shoot a lot. But I got to get him on a high volume. If I get him on a high volume, and he's like, 12 for 24, like 12 for 30 and all. I don't know what it was. 1-2 games, he shot the ball not that good, but he scored 30 points. So that's how you had to think of Allen. Now, if you got him going on a 10 for 10, 10 for 15, then I was in trouble. But, I had to make him work for everything he got. It was tough. And inside, they had bigs, but, we was ready. We was ready that year for that playoff. We was ready.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of like told K.A., like, listen, man, he was doing it to everybody in the league. Let's stay up on him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And run him to the paint. We like, run him in here. We're going to knock him down. We're going to get some charges. Yeah. We're going to make it real tough because we knew from the outside they had a guy like Snow where we could kind of like, you know what? When push comes to shove, let Snow shoot. Yeah, we run it. You know what I mean? So Dick Harder and them had a game plan already from the beginning. You know what I mean? We took away Dikembe and Snow, and we said, you know what? Them motherfuckers going to beat us. We ain't going to let these other,
that's what it was. I forgot about that.
You know what I mean? Remember we was like that, K? It was like, okay.
Yeah, I forgot because we was like, go let Iverson get his. He gonna get his 30, maybe 40. But if we stop those other two guys, it's our game. And that's what happened.
Exactly.
They role played and play well.
Yeah, you guys
exactly.
took the first two games of that series at home, blew them out in game one. The highlight of that game, Walter hit a three-pointer, hit a half-court shot at the buzzer. And then game two was that classic ugly game you guys played. You pulled it out. But then you dropped two tight games down there in Philadelphia, and the infamous storyline of that was Stephen A. Smith infamously called out Paul Pierce, basically called him a bum, without calling him a bum. To this day, do we have any stories of how Paul took that?
I don't remember. Eric might have known some close. I didn't really. When we lost in that, we go home playing game 5. I just knew we were going to win at home. I just said we home. We know what we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Stephen A. at the time, they was riding, Allen Iverson. He was the number one beat writer in Philly. So I understood him saying that. And, that was their personality down in Philly. When the Philly Celtics rivalry is a motherfucker, man. I saw them beat up one of the Celtic fans in the stands, man. You know what I mean? It was like crazy, yo. It was like crazy down there. Philly was like one of the only arenas that had a police station on site, yo. It's crazy. So I can understand him saying those type of sayings, but we was always close knit. We ain't really care about that, And we should have won the game number 3. We should have game 4. We should have won. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, we came back. Allen Iverson is a great player, man. You know what I mean? Derek Coleman was started coming around. All the guys playing good. They was at home. But like K.A. said, when we got to Boston. We blew their ass out. Yeah.
I was just coughing. I said we winning this for 5. I just knew it. I said we gonna win this for 5 and move on. So with that year, that was our home was like bread and butter. We was like, I don't know how many games we lost or won, but I just knew we felt comfortable at home, and we wasn't gonna lose. The momentum was on our side, even though we had lost 2. It was just tied 2-2, and this is where it comes back. This is where our confidence from having that season we had. The close games. We were just so a confident group. I was like, we gonna win. We play game 5. Let's move on.
That season really invigorated the interest of the fans, obviously, as well. I mean, the Garden. I specifically remember that Philadelphia game, that game 5. That was a Friday night. That place was an absolute madhouse. I mean, how did you guys feed off that crowd that was in Boston that year?
It was unbelievable, man. You know what I mean? They had those fucking towels waving. And it was like my true first experience, man. It's like, wow, this was what Boston tradition is all about, man. Man, we finally got it almost back to that level again. And of course, the crowd, the Boston Celtics Boston fans in general, they're the most knowledgeable fans, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They appreciate all 12 guys and the coach. You know what I mean? So it was easy for us to come in there and play the way we play. It was easy because the energy was there.
Yeah,
and, all the old Celtics was coming back, having check. You know what I mean? Before, I'm going to say this right now. I mean, when Rick Pitino had first took over, none of the old Celtics, all the greats, they didn't come to the practices. It was like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Because everybody got fired in the Celtics organization. All the people who used to work there for over like 30 years, they were getting fired. But just the regular people who worked there. So, all the old Celtics didn't come back around. Red Auerbach title as president was gone. And it was like, who are we? You know what I mean? And, when we came back and revitalized,
I don't know.
Stepped down, the old Celtics came back, man. And it was great.
That feeling, I remember, when we came out on the floor, I chilled goosebumps. It was like, that Boston Garden was like, it was the most loudest place I ever played in. I was like, this is crazy. You couldn't hear yourself. And then the game when we played the Nets game, we was down 24. I don't even know. I was reading lips then. I couldn't really hear nothing. And like Eric said, all I say, I don't know if we could have continued to go long for 5 to 6 years. They had to make a change, but I don't think they had to make that change that next year. I wanted to play with that same group one more year, like two years. I think our volume and what we tasted from the following year, we lost to to New Jersey in the Eastern Conference Finals. I just wanted to play with them guys one more year to say, okay, could we get over the hump and win this Eastern Conference? You know, and that's what I was. That's what I felt. They should. It was a business decision because then Paul Gassick, you know, sold the team. Then all the new owners come in. I understand it because it's all about business. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to, you know, stay one more year and finish it out and see how we could do together because they had to make a change. I think Paul was the keeper, which is, you know, young, still playing, you know, no injuries. Yeah. You know, Antoine, they could have made a decision. He was 50-50. But, you know, myself, I know I was getting older. You know, Eric Williams was getting a little older. You know, been injured from time to time. Tony Battie, a role player. Like, the whole roster, you could have looked at and said, yeah, we don't got that many years, but let's try to keep this team together one more year and see if we can get over the hump. But they didn't. I understand.
Yeah, you were coming off that huge series against Detroit. You took it to Chucky Atkins pretty good, and that really had your stock really high, that's for sure. Did you guys have any doubt that you guys were going to take care of Detroit?
Yeah, we knew we were going to win that game.
We was kind of mirrored images, though. You know, like as a team, we kind of mirrored images. We played the same way. You know, we're solid defense. They slowed the ball up, executed. They didn't have no real sight. Cliff Robinson and Chucky Atkins was having a decent year. They had some shooters. You know, they overachieved that year also. So, you know, but like I said, we just knew, like, when we got to Detroit, that I just think we was going to win. We was like, we're going to win. And I believe that year because we handled the Nets that season early, you know, I think 3-1 we beat them.
Yeah, you took 3 or 4. You took 3 or 4.
Yeah, and I think we took them for granted, and that's why they beat us, I really believe. And I just thought we were going to the finals. I really did. I was like, we're going to the finals. And I don't know what's going to happen. You know, we played the Lakers with Shaq. Shaq, I thought, was the X factor with us if we would have played them. Because we didn't, he's just too big. But I think Kobe would have pushed, Paul Pierce would have pushed Kobe. And I think Antoine Walker would have been, you know, you never know what you're going to get from him. And I just think our whole role players and everybody was better than the Lakers. So I just think that our contrast style was, you know, better. But they were so powerful in the paint. That would have been a problem.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that, Eric? Did you feel that you guys took New Jersey at all for granted? You guys, you know, you split down there in Jersey. Pierce hadn't been playing all that well in the series. Then he had the comeback, obviously. Did you think that you probably had demoralized that Nets team after you guys got up 2-1 and won in the manner you did in Boston?
100%, man. I mean, you know, because after that, it was like, you know, who our defense was going to take us to the next level because, you know, once you get into playoff time, it's all half court. We knew we had a better defense than them, but you know what? They had a Hall of Fame player, man. I mean, goddamn Jason Kidd, man, was playing the best basketball he ever played in his career. It wasn't about him scoring. He was just all over the place. And I was like, this dude, he was like running back and charges. Like I was like, he's all over the place. I can't, you know, knock it. You just got to give him credit. I'm like, you know, he wasn't a great shooter, so every time in my career that I played him, I roamed around. You know what I mean? You couldn't stop him from getting in the lane and making passes. So if he's going to get his assist. He's going to get his assist. He's going to, you know, knock down shots from time to time. But that series, he just went crazy. He was just all over the place. I was like, this guy, he's just all over the place. So you had to give him time. He willed his team, you know, to victory. You know what I mean? But I thought when we came back from the 20-point game, went up 2-1, I just thought they was done. Yeah. I thought they was chopped. You know, that tells you about them, you know, about their team. And with Jason and the leadership he had, that he willed them. He said, we're going to overcome. But let's go back to the game. And I'm pissed off. Let's go back to game 4. Paul Pierce missed those free throws.
Oh, yeah. We would have won the game.
We would have won the game. I turned my back. I said, I know he's going to make it. I turned my back. I said, God, he's going to make it. He missed it. But we would have been up 3-1.
Yeah. The complexion of that series changed after that game. There's no doubt.
Yeah, man. A lot of, you know, you know what? I think that was like what Kenny A said, man. We would just can't make that one more year. We would have learned from that. You know, looking ahead of teams and, you know, regular season ain't got nothing to do with the playoffs. That was one of our learning curves as you grow to be a championship team. You know, but like we said, we were looking forward to the Celtics, Laker history and tradition. And I admit, I was looking forward to that. You know what I mean? That's why, being able to beat them in the regular season, the way we beat them, we beat them. You know what I mean? So it was like we look forward. It ain't like we look past that round, but we should have won the game number 4. And, you know what I mean? We should have never got so down in game like 2 that we had to overexude ourselves with so much energy to come back, man. So, you know, it was all a learning curve at the time, but we didn't know that, you know, our team was not going to be together next year, you know. So, you know, just one of those situations where we was like, damn, man, opportunity missed, you know, but we got next year. But next year never came for us.
Yeah, it was interesting. I remember Chris Wallace told me a story when I was right in the fall of the Boston Celtics. Like, he breathes a big sigh, and he goes, Antoine and Paul getting up on those tables after that third game. And apparently one of the trainers, it was an assistant trainer for the Nets at the time, is now the head trainer at the Grizzlies. Jason Kidd that night in the hotel apparently went door to door, just banging on the door, just saying, can you believe these mother effers celebrating the way they did? And they came out guns a-blazing in that fourth game, and they really seemed to feed off of that. What happened? They never really looked back.
Yeah, man. So, hey, you know, you got to do your hats to. That's a great player.
Well, yeah, I eat that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I eat it because I played my career. I started with the Nets, so I was gritting my teeth. You know what I mean? I was gritting my teeth when we had them. You know, 2-1. I just grit every day. I was like, I want to beat these motherfuckers. I just got close. We got to close the door. You know what I mean? Excuse my language, but that's what I was doing because I started my career with them. Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
that wasn't all.
So that's what it happened.
I mean, I know it was personal for you, but it wasn't all.
Yeah, but I kept it all this time.
He was everything for that team. If you take Jason Kidd out, that team ain't even in the playoffs. I'm telling you. You know what I mean? And those years, look at them numbers. Those years, you know, he was just everything for that team. You know, he did everything for the motherfuckers. He dominated the ball 95% of the time. You know what I mean? So, you know, he just had these guys, and he just cultivated those guys, and they played good, solid, you know, basketball, you know, and they beat us, you know what I mean? It's, you know, there's no excuses, you know, but, you know, shoot me out,
they beat us,
100%. You know what I mean? We should have beat the dog shit out of them, but, hey, you know, that's basketball. That's why we love this game, you know, and that's why we got to cherish every moment in these games. Every game count, you know. Them all life lessons for me, man, you know. I learned a lot, you know, during that small period of time being with the guys, and, you know, the camaraderie, what sacrifice mean, and a whole lot of things. So it was great, man. Prepared me for who I am today.
You know, one player that we didn't mention in this at all was Vitaly Potapenko, and I want to touch upon this briefly. He got hurt in the final game of the season that year, and he was sort of a decent piece for you guys. You know, he was a change of pace from Tony Battie. He was, you know, a big, more burly guy. It seemed like you guys missed him against the Nets.
That was K.A. guy. That was K.A. guy right there.
Yeah, that was my guy because he was a great picker. He's a picker, popper. He can roll. He's good. But he was one of my guys. You know, we talked a lot. You know, in the locker room and off on the bus. That was one of my guys. But he was very fundamentally sound, and he was a bruiser. He was physical, man. You wasn't going near him. You wasn't. He was banging and everything. He just knows how to play the game, and that's why he's over there now in Cleveland. He's at Cleveland working.
Yeah, Shaq. I mean, he guarded Shaq the best. Word up. His body position. You know what I mean? He made Shaq take jump hooks all the time. That's why we was able to beat them, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he was a big part of our team. He would have been a big force for us down in the middle the same way. But, you know, when we were playing like the Nets, they had, you know, Aaron Williams. They had some big guys who can step out and was flex. You know, they was very creative. So, you know, we necessarily didn't need Vitaly for that series. You know, we needed more, you know, guys who could go out there and guard them. Because Aaron Williams is who killed us, and that's the only reason why we lost. Because Aaron Williams is who killed us in that series with the Nets. You know what I mean? He kind of like killed us. You know, he was like had games like 7 for 7, probably had like 4 dunks and, you know, 4 free throws and. You know, he killed us. So that was that, man. But Vitaly was, you know, he was good personality. He was one of our guys. He was one of those guys who, you know, said, "Fuck, I'm coming, hit the roll, great free throw shooter, jump hook in the paint." And he was just one of our guys, man. You know what I mean? I love that guy.
Any final reactions to that season, just sort of looking back on it? I mean, I know, Kenny, you mentioned that team. You also mentioned the Lethal Weapon 3 team you had with Georgia Tech. Just how do you look back on that year?
I look at it like it was a very like E. Williams said. I learned a lot, about sacrificing, team chemistry, and then I'm so blessed that me and Eric Williams, we the only guys that I really stay in touch with from that team, and we do stuff together, and we try to help each other out. So that's a blessing because most guys in the NBA, you once you finish, you go about your separate ways, and you don't stay in touch with your fellow peers. But me and Eric Williams has been able to, like, tomorrow, next day, whatever, if I need to call him, I text him, say what's up, how you doing? He called me. Yep. So it's a blessing that I got somebody in my corner that experienced, something with me that'll hold a lifetime. And when I go to Boston, it's like, I left Boston on a high. So I have nothing to be ashamed of. I love it. You know what I mean? A great tradition. It's always the Celtics. Once the Celtics, always the Celtics. And I can always say that I played for that franchise. Like that's like the Lakers or Celtics. If you played for those franchises in the NBA, you are blessed, man, to just walk around and say, hey, I played for the Celtics, and I played there for 5 years, so I did something right.
Exactly. I mean, and this is just to, compound what K.A. was talking about. I mean, once I really understood, because, I played basketball in the 12th grade. I ain't never want to be a basketball player. I wanted to be Dave Winfield and play for the Yankees. You know what I mean? So, but once I got drafted by the Celtics, and and I can remember my interview with the Celtics before I got drafted, and Red Auerbach was there. Larry was there. M.L. Carr was there. Dennis Johnson. Havlicek was passing me the ball in my workouts, and I was at that moment right there. That's when I knew I was in the tradition. It was greatness there. You know what I mean? When you could get your former players and champions to come back, and I had Red Auerbach blowing smoke in my face. But listen, man, it was great to be able to be drafted by the Celtics and be drafted by when Red Auerbach was still the president and Larry Bird was the consultant. I think I was Larry Bird's first. Yeah, I was like Larry Bird's first. Like his first draft choice. People don't even know that. Yeah. He was consultant for the Celtics at the time with Red Auerbach, and I was his first draft pick. So it was like it felt good to be a part of tradition. You know what I mean? And I'll leave on this note. Note because Jeff Twist is there. He's been there for 35 years. I got his cell number. I got his phone number. Wherever they play, he gives me tickets, and he never forgot. So I really appreciate Jeff. 2000 and I think their second championship run, I was in L.A. doing some work, and I was at the Game 7 when they lost to the Lakers when they should have won. I was there, because of Jeff Twist. He left me some great tickets. And wherever I'm at, wherever the Celtics at, already the Celtics. Yeah, they take care of me with my tickets. And that's not necessarily true for certain organizations. They don't really care about you once you're gone. So I got to give it up for the Celtics and Jeff Twist. He's the head of the Alumni Association, keeping everybody together. Yeah. So Jeff spends every day. Yeah. He lets me know what's going on. So it's just great, man. It's a great organization. But, as far as, when I was there, they helped me.
That's great to hear from former players. I personally, I've had the season tickets for over a decade. That means very little when in fact, when you experience it from former players. Class organization, but two class players themselves, members of the 2002 Boston Celtics, and both players who had long careers. Eric Williams, Kenny Anderson, thanks so much for joining us on Celtics Beat.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.